Welcome to the Clause YouTube channel.
Together, we strive for a safer, secure, and more stable world.
Hello and welcome to Strategic Frontlines, the YouTube channel of Center for Land Warfare Studies. Today we are going to discuss an issue which has been in the news for quite some time, and that is the landing of US troops in Chattogram or Chittagong, as it is now being called interchangeably. We have a whole lot of issues connected with this, and to discuss this, we have with us Major General N.D. Prasad, who is a renowned subject matter expert, a China watcher, and also has been the director in Rashtriya Raksha University. Before that, he has commanded a division. He's been essentially associated with China for a long time, and also looks at the overall international relations between US, India, China, and so on and so forth. So we have one of the best guys discussing this, and we also have with us Colonel Satish Malik, who is a war veteran, and of course, after he left the army prematurely because he lost his leg during the Kargil war. Since then, he has graduated to being a person who is following his passion of the army, but in a different manner, in the sense that he goes to remote areas, carries out risk analysis. So basically, he's a risk analyst and gives advice to various firms and industry guys who want to establish something in these areas for the betterment of India and public in general. So he has to go to all these places where normally no civilians venture and then gives a report. And thereafter, so in this process, he went to Dhaka and he just returned yesterday. So he is the right man to tell us as to what is the mood in Dhaka. So we have got him in essentially because of this, and also that since he's an army man, he understands security quite closely, and also the fact that he's from my unit. So that is the another major factor. Welcome, Satish, to this show of Strategic Frontlines.
Thank you
We
so
will, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, Prashad, with your permission, uh, I will just tell you the overall situation. I'm not going to give any comments or my views
much.
on that, and then we will launch into the discussion. What we will do is we'll first have Satish. After I finish, I'll have first Satish giving out what is the general mood in Dhaka, anti-India, pro-India, or a mixed, or what is pro-China mood. All those things I think Satish will be covering. So what I will do is I'll add a small presentation to this. US in the neighborhood. What's going on? That's the title which I have selected for today's discussion. So what we will do is let's compare the sorry for the disturbance, the military presence which is there in that region. So what has happened is uh, past I think since May 2025, US has been sending troops in Bangladesh in bits and pieces, but in the month of September, it has sent 120 Army and Air Force personnel in in a C-130 Super Hercules aircraft, and this happened on September 15. Before that, there was an advance party which came in a civil airliner that was on that was on September 10th. Just to put you all in grid, the stated purpose of this particular presence is joint exercise known as Pacific Angel 25-3. Before this, few months before this, there was another exercise, Tiger Lightning. So there has been this, constant presence of US in in Bangladesh, especially after the Nobel laureate has taken over the reins of Bangladesh. So we need to decipher as to what this guy is, what the US is up to, given the fact that we also have had Sri Lankan crisis, we have had the Nepal crisis, Pakistan it is already making inroads. So there are, and Thailand it has made some presence felt by having a ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia. So many things are there on the board. It's become like a chess board, like the Chinese play the other game, with the small little balls, which has no Chinese checker, as they call it. So, which has no fixed boundaries, unlike in chess, there are fixed boundaries. So, I think there is something going on which we are not able to lay our hands on. The strategic concerns, of course, are it is happening very close to India. The Indian northeast borders are very close to Chittagong, 100 kilometers to be precise, is the distance between the port and the northeast border of India. Then Myanmar, a lot of things are happening inside the government. Myanmar, that is, the junta is not able to control, especially the outlying areas. It has only got control over the cities. So Myanmar is under danger of probably US interference. US is probably trying to do this due to multiple reasons. Maybe China is one of the factors. India could also be a hedging hedging strategy as to not allow India to become next China, because this has been the common grouse in America, that they allowed China a little too much of a rope, because of which now it is competing with the US. So as far as India is concerned, India's thing is slightly strange. We have been showing interest of counterinsurgency and counterterrorism actions proactively in Myanmar on a number of occasions. But this time around, what has happened, I don't know whether it is true or not, but I'm going by the reports of what is there in the media. Uh, India has also sent a similar number, 120. This exercise was not slated earlier. So sometimes people are saying it's a reaction to the US action. But the difference this time is that India has sent a tri-service force. Now, why a tri-service force? That is something which we need to. I'll ask ND to elaborate and let his mind fly and wild as to what could be the reason for this. We have, of course, again, there is. We also have C-130s, very interestingly, but we send them in IL-76. Again, there may be something to it also, or maybe that was the aircraft available at short notice, so they sent that. I don't know. Then, in our case, we are doing joint exercises for counterinsurgency and border operations, which has been happening. It's not a new thing. In the past, also, we have had joint operations with the Myanmar military. The strategic concerns for India are that it wants to secure its northeastern borders and uh, kind of counter both US and Chinese interference into Indian affairs. So, regionally, it's an alarm bell for India, Eastern alert. As far as the other issue is that it wants to stabilize the border strains with Myanmar. So, given all these factors, I would like to show you a map. Now, this is a very, I don't know whether you all can see it or not, but on top is India with a northeastern strategic zone concern for us. You have the Chinese playing games here. You have now US becoming excessively active, especially during this tariff war which is going on between India and US. So what is the real intention? It has been constantly been in presence in Bangladesh. The Bangladesh army is not very happy, but it is reluctantly cooperating with the US there. The Myanmaris are definitely not happy. Myanmaris know for the fact that the US, if it is coming here, it would have some regime change interests. It might just be pushing the the rebel groups cause. Also, China has played a different tone now. Chinese earlier were indulging both the junta as well as the rebel forces. Of late, it seems that they are investing more in the rebel forces. So, is it a battle to control the rebel forces by China and the US? And is India now pitching for the military junta? So, whole lot of things are there. So, we'll start first our discussion. I'll remove this particular slide deck from here. Satish, you were there in Bangladesh very recently. What recently? Just about yesterday. I think you fly back in. So, without talking about your actual job which was there, what I would like to know from you is that what's the mood in Bangladesh, so that when General ND analyzes the thing, he can tamper his views with that. So, over to you, Satish.
Thank you so much. Good evening, General Dushyant sir, General Prasad. Privileged to be invited here to speak. Uh, as General Dushyant has already mentioned, I have been traveling to Bangladesh extensively, Dhaka, Chittagong, Cox's Bazar, even to the Rohingya refugee camps, Khulna, Jessore. I have also traveled to Myanmar. So all these travels have, I have seen something happening, and this I have been doing since last about 15 years now. So I have seen things changing in these last 15 years. Firstly, talking about Dhaka city per se, what has changed is, and change, I'm talking about the famous July uprising in which Awami League was ousted from the government. So before that, and what is happening after that, number one thing which I see, especially in Dhaka city, is the crime rate. The crime rate has gone very, very high, not only in Dhaka city, but I would say almost entire Bangladesh. Now, besides whatever is the political mood and political upheavals in Bangladesh, what has happened is that Bangladesh's mainstay of economy was what they call RMG, that is ready-made garment industry. And ready-made garment industry, which accounted to almost 8% of their GDP, post July uprising, almost 60 to 70% of those garment factories have closed down. And these garment factories employed low wage workers in thousands. And especially for women workers, uh, before the COVID happened, almost 80% of the workforce was women. Now it has come down to 55 to 60%. And they earn wages in the range of about, say, 12,000 to 15,000 taka. So all these people who were low wage earners, they have become unemployed. So you can imagine a family in which the lady of the house is earning about, say, 12,000 taka in a month, and men obviously would be almost in the same range or maybe a little bit of higher. So it was just two income was making it possible for them to run their household. Now half or less than, a little less than half of it is gone. So they are finding it extremely difficult to run their household, and that has given rise to very violent crimes. I remember reading a news that was sometime around Eid or maybe Ramzan time, that one of the garment factory worker got a bonus of 1200 taka, and she was killed in her house to rob that 1200 taka and 2 kgs of rice. So you can
Oh
imagine the
God.
level of desperation that for 2 kgs of rice and 1200 taka, somebody is killed there. I was just going through, the website of Bangladesh police and their crime record, and I realized that how things have changed. So June 24, there were 16 robberies and 13 murders, and I'm talking about Dhaka Metropolitan Police. July 24, when the uprising took place, July and August, 15 robberies and 59 murders. August 24, 4 robberies and 119 murders. Oh. And now, if I compare that with whatever is there today, is June 25 is 32 robberies, 49 murders. July 25, 38 robberies and 75 murders. August 25, 52 robberies and 32 murders. So you can see the pattern how the number of robberies has gone up. You know, while the murder happened maximum during July and August last year, but robberies have gone up like anything. So this is my first observation. The second observation, especially if I come to the Chittagong area, the Chittagong area always has had a history of communal violence because
Mhm.
the minority population is sizable in Chittagong as compared to all other divisions of Bangladesh. So it looks like during the July uprising, it looked as if there was a lot of attack happening on minority community in whole of Bangladesh. But if you see the history, it is it is nothing new. So again, I would quote a news of 2023 during Durga Puja uh, in Chittagong. Somebody would have put a Quran in the lap of a statue of Hanuman, and communal tensions flared up. And almost 200 to 50, 250 to 300 people were killed during that communal violence. So these kind of things have always been happening in Bangladesh. It's nothing new. It's not because of this, the latest political unrest which happened there. Now, when I travel to Dhaka so often, lately what I have realized that, a particular hotel in which I stay, I have started seeing more number of Chinese people. I have started seeing more number of Pakistani people in the hotel. Uh, these two nationalities were there earlier, but not in such sizable numbers. Americans, of course, they were always there coming to Dhaka for various businesses, various reasons they were coming. But travel of Pakistani and Chinese people has increased quite a lot lately in Dhaka. So these are my observations what I have seen in past few years.
Any point, any rumor or any kind of talk or conversation regarding the dead soldier who was found in the hotel, uh, with whomsoever you came into contact? Out of the current lot which has come in, there were some people who came in the advance. So one of them was found dead in his room. So anything
Yes.
about that, as how it happened, who killed them, or something of that nature?
So, sir, obviously in hotel industry, nobody would talk about these things
Yeah.
because it affects their business. But as far as local Bangladesh population, there's not much of talk. And if you even ask some people, they would consider it as one of those one-off incidents. So there's nothing much which is in talks there about this.
Okay. Jan Prasad, now the floor is open to you. And here, what I would like you to first and foremost cover the first question, and then we can ask Satish also what does he think. Uh, why has US suddenly chosen Bangladesh as the area of interest? What could be the reasons, and has it got a direct linkage to China, and has it got some linkages to India and situation in Myanmar? So over to you.
Uh, Good evening, fellow panelists. Thank you for inviting me, sir, and also good evening to all the uh, people who are watching the YouTube channel. At the outset, sir, you raised three reasons for which the US could be actively involved in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
I would look at the first one as China itself.
Mm-hmm.
The Chinese engagement in South Asia
Okay.
has actually been on the rise, uh, affecting India's influence in the South Asian region, which India considers as its strategic space.
Okay.
With the pivot of US to Asia, Indo-Pacific, and the increasing forays of China into the Indian Ocean region, increasing development of facilities in Myanmar, Bangladesh, and other parts of the world for ensuring uh, security of its locks, as also having a security strategic footprint as China rises in power. There was a need, probably there was a perception in US that it's time for US to have a foothold in the Bay of Bengal. US earlier had a presence in St. Martin's Island, actually, before
Hmm.
way back. And then
Okay.
when the Bangladesh government was formed after the War of Liberation, they had said that no foreign power will be allowed to stay on its sovereign soil, and therefore there was no question of any power being stationed in any of these outlying islands of Bangladesh. So, having stayed in Saint Martin Island, US was looking at that as an outpost to keep an eye on what's happening in Myanmar. It's very close to Myanmar, just about 8 kilometers, 8 9 miles from there, and it is southernmost
Okay.
tip of Chittagong or Chattogram. So therefore, it gives a peep into what's happening in Myanmar, what's happening in Bay of Bengal. It can keep an eye on Chinese activities in IOR, Bay of Bengal. Let's also look at India's developments strategic developments which take place off the eastern seaboard. Then it gives a control over the developments in South Asia. If you look at what has followed in Nepal is another indication of increased US interest in this region. So therefore, this area has become an area of new great game, where the existing hegemon is looking at containing the rising power. India, naturally being present in this area as the largest country of South Asia, is certainly affected by the presence of the US forces, US troops. There has been an increase in US presence in the area of Chattogram. They have had 3 exercises, the fourth one recently, as you mentioned. The presence of US troops in these areas and Bangladesh Air Force Base is only adding to the speculation that there is going to be a US military presence in Bangladesh. That having said, how does it affect India? India can look at it as an influence that US will have in India's backyard. India considers the countries in South Asia as its strategic neighborhood, and would like to be the major uh, country that influences the strategic discourse in this area. With US presence, will it adversely affect India's strategic interest? That needs to be seen. When I come to the economic engagements that US and Bangladesh are having as a result of the change of government, it'll come to we can see how the Bangladesh government is increasingly engaging with US for as part of its negotiations for a free trade agreement that is looking at signing with US, and thereby offsetting the trade imbalance that US and Bangladesh have got. That's aside. If you look at the way developments in Myanmar directly affect India's border security along the Indo-Myanmar border. India and Myanmar have had joint exercises in the past. We had recently Operation Sunrise, done by the Eastern Theater, and
Hmm.
which had a great amount of, I would say, effect on the operations of the Indian insurgent groups operating from Myanmar. In fact, they were almost neutralized, so that we could focus on development and of this northeast region. The changes in the Myanmar government and the deteriorating security situation as a result of the ethnic armed groups becoming more powerful and gaining space in Myanmar has actually created some kind of border tensions between India and Myanmar. The current exercise that India and Myanmar are doing, while it happens to coincide with the US exercise in Bangladesh, I would like to see it in the light of the Indian government's attempt to secure the Northeast and ensure that the Northeast region remains pivot to India's Act East policy. So, therefore, this joint exercise as part of counterinsurgency operations to ensure peace and stability along the border, it must be seen in the light. The timing is a mere coincidence, and there I think the aircraft being sent being IL-76, like you said,
I,
maybe
I
they
mentioned
might.
I mentioned it I mentioned it more in a lighter way, but these things do have some kind of
But it does send a message.
messaging.
All notwithstanding the availability, it does send a message.
It,
If
it
there is
probably says it probably says that we should not have any fratricide.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly,
okay. So
that's what
I
I would
just
say.
I just tried to pull a rabbit out of the bag. So that was the reason why I said that thing based on the comparisons which were being made.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That was
So
interesting though.
yeah, yeah. I have a very interesting question. While you have covered the various issues, there are two, three things which are, kind of uh, troubling everyone in this region. One of them, which I will now invite Satish to comment on, one of the reasons being given by various people, some quarters of the strategic community, saying that the US wants to, first of all, have a base in St. Martin. That is one. The second, I mean, it wants to come back again. Let me put it this way, because Jan Prasad just highlighted that it did have a presence in St. Martin in the past. The second thing which people are talking in a big way is that it wants to carve out a Christian state in this part of the world so that it has a say in the region to balance out China, to keep a watch or maybe ultimately do a regime change in Myanmar, and also keep a control over Bangladesh and India. As I said earlier, also that possibly India is also being now kept under control. That's why you have a blow hot, blow cold. Sometimes Modi is not a friend, sometimes Modi is a friend. Those kind of things keep coming out of the US camp. So, what are your views, Satish, on the ground situation? Is there some kind of a movement, because you've been going to Chittagong area and all that? So, is there some kind of a on ground undercurrent going on of a Christian state? Oh, you're mute here, Satish. You're mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, in Dhaka, one cannot see that you know that any kind of conversion or so happening there. If at all any conversion is happening, what I see is Bangladesh. Actually, Bangladesh was born because of its own identity, a Bengali identity, right, which was very different from rest of the Pakistani identity. So that identity, it looks that gradually it is changing to and from Bengali to Islamic identity now. So you can see in the behavior, you can see in the way they're dressing, you can see the way they're going to religious places, the frequency of that. All these has can give you an indication that from Bengali it is turning towards Islamic now. Then another thing which again talking about that Saint Martin Island occupation which General Prasad was mentioning about. Uh, so Saint Martin Island, as he said, that it is absolute tip of Chittagong. That is again very close to these Rohingya camps where I have been to. There are two villages, Ukhia and Teknaf. So it is very close to that place. So now the general population in that area uh, is the tribal population mostly. Right?
Okay.
So if at all, to answer your question, it might be easier to bring them towards Christianity, if at all, like it happened in many other places where tribals were converted to Christianity. Then another thing is that just by being there, it's not only about Bangladesh, or it's not only about Myanmar, but that's one place from where even your Indian borders are quite close, right? So by being at in that corner, you're controlling Bangladesh, you're controlling uh, Myanmar, you're also controlling India, and this large section of the Bay of Bengal, right? And third thing about this, the latest hobnobbing with US, what I feel is that the present government, actually interim government, if you look at it, uh, they really, they don't know where they are going exactly. The whole thing started because they wanted to evict Awami League from there, and after that, the interim government, which was there, they at
Mm-hmm.
one point of time they are cozying up with Pakistan, issuing more number of visas and scholarships to students. They are cozying up with China, with the latest now that China, agreeing to invest $2.1 billion in Tista water projects. Same time, they are cozying up with the US now, with getting their troops for exercise overtly to Bangladesh. At the same time, their stance towards India, if you see lately, that has also changed a little bit. If you see that 12,000 tons of Hilsa fish, which they have agreed to export, which last year it was banned. So you can see
Mm-hmm.
the stance in that also. So
Yep.
my thinking is that at this moment, this interim government is just trying to do everything possible with every country which they can reach out to, and see where it lands them.
Okay, I think the I'll ask the next question to Jan Prasad, and thereafter there'll be the last question. Thereafter, we'll take a lot of questions in the chat box. Let me tell you that there are people from Bangladesh who are listening to us. There are people from, I think, if I'm not wrong, there are people also of under different names looking. I mean, looking at this particular program. So as the questions come, I realize who all are these guys. But let's take them, because then only we'll understand the flavor on the ground. Well, John Prasad, you have been 3 years in 3 years in China as the defense attaché, or MA, military attaché, and that would have been a tremendous experience for anyone who has such a close contact with the Chinese, and they being one of our, I would say, problems as far as our northern borders are concerned. I also got reports, because you were in the east also, you were part of the command headquarters there. I also have got reports that in the areas, why they're considering this Christian state idea, a Christian state or a nation, is because the neighboring areas of India, like Mizoram and all, they're all fully Christian, right? So there is a inherent nucleus available, and so if these people can just mount on that nucleus, then it would be very easy to expand the ground movement, as what you are seeing, in the Nepal and other parts of the country. Some people are referring it to as color revolution resurfacing in our part of the world. Do you think that kind of a public Gen Z type of action is likely to take place, including Mizoram and Chittagong and all these areas, Saint Martin, whosoever is there? Such a movement is likely to take place, and then I'll also ask Satish to just think about it. Is it feasible? Yeah.
I think so. When we look at
Before you start, I would also like to remind you that the Chief Minister of Mizoram had been to the US, and he had given some statements which were not in the right national interest. So keep all that in mind and just see how much of it is. Yeah,
when
over to you.
when we look at the population across the border between India and Myanmar, sir, the
Mm-hmm.
population is straddled across the border,
Yeah.
and there are people who have got families across the border, and that is also
Mm-hmm.
one of the how are some of the insurgent groups are operating from the areas close to Indo-Myanmar border. Having
Correct.
said that, any attempt by anybody to convert people who are predominantly either Buddhists or Muslims into Christianity will not succeed. Because when we look at the composition of the ethnic armed groups in Myanmar
Mm-hmm.
and the battle that has been going on between them and the government forces for such a long time now, and it's a seesaw battle with each one of them dominating the other, and the
Okay.
current situation being what it is very unlikely that the ethnic armed groups will get influenced by any such kind of an attempt by any of the proxies operating on behalf of either one or the other country. So the political landscape and the religious landscape or the human resource or demographic landscape will probably be very difficult for anybody to actually influence by such activities as we are discussing. The people are very, very conscious of their roots, their cultural identity, and that is precisely the reason why the ethnic armed groups have actually taken up arms against the government in Myanmar. So their ethnic identity, their cultural roots are extremely strong, which they would not like to compromise. That is my understanding. And
Okay.
so that's the first one. Yes, sir.
Hmm. So, a quick word on this by you, Satish. A Gen Z type of thing happening in this region, because Islamic effect is slightly less. Of course, if you take the Rohingyas out, then and Rohingyas in any case have spread all over the world now because of the oppression which they are facing from everyone, whether it is in Myanmar or whether it is even in Bangladesh. They're not a welcome uh, group of people. They have created a separate island where these people are being dumped. So there are a number of issues on that. So do you see a possibility of this? Then we will go to the last question and then move on to question answers by the in the chat box. Yeah.
Okay, so Gen Z kind of movement that you're talking about, what I feel that this kind of movement succeeds mostly amongst
Mhm.
urban population, urban Gen Z. Right?
Okay.
Whereas the region that we are talking about, that is Chattogram area, not the hill track, but more towards the shore, uh, it's actually a little backward area. Other than Chattogram
Mhm.
city, besides that, rest everything is
Mhm.
quite a backward area. And
Okay.
to have a movement like this in this region, it would be much easier if that kind of movement happens in a city like Dhaka, where
Mhm.
still there would be that kind of
Yeah.
population which
Yeah.
can be swayed. But
Correct.
in Chattogram and Cox's Bazar, that kind of area, I find it a little difficult to accept at this moment that there would be any kind of Christian conversion, let's say.
Okay, I think we've discussed this issue enough, and we do have even in the chat box the flavor that it's likely to be very difficult. But we should remain guarded against this particular eventuality. Reason being that in the Northeast we do have a very large population which is Christians, and there are missionaries who are working towards this kind of a changeover. So it's not something which we should just ignore it. I think it should be on that monitoring list of ours. So with that, I will come on to General Prasad. And General Prasad, the last question of today's discussion, and that is, given all this Chinese checker and American chess which is going on, Master versus Zen, or what you call Sun Tzu, what is India going to do? How is India going to navigate all this, game which is going on? They're saying now South Asia has become not Afghanistan, but South Asia has become the game arena. And this is true also because I've read a thesis 1975. It says area from Myanmar till Afghanistan will always destined historically to remain unstable. So what do you have to say? How does India break this curse of South Asia?
I think as far as India and the countries in South Asia is concerned, sir, the linkages that we have with the countries in South Asia are extremely sound and have a very strong moorings. the aberrations that are coming in is because of the attempt by the extra regional players to wean away these countries which are otherwise culturally, ethnically linked to India. And these countries are taking advantage of such extra regional players to hedge against one against the other to get better economic, I would say, dividends from these countries. So I
Okay.
look at firstly at Bangladesh. I think the relationship between India and Bangladesh is extremely strong. And while we have seen decline in the relationship post the exit of Sheikh Hasina led government and interim government coming into place, but the changes in the interim government's approach to India is already happening. And I think India needs to, with the elections around the corner in February 2026, India has about couple of months, let's say 7 to 8 months, to prepare the ground to engage with the next government in Bangladesh. And for that, India needs to be proactive in terms of re-energizing the Indo-Bangladesh relationship, in terms of restarting certain amount of projects, increasing the high-tech allowances and all. Similarly, when we look at Nepal, we have seen how the entire thing panned out, and eventually the government stance on the developments in Nepal. Nepal again uh, has the deep linkages with India, cannot wish it away. Its access to for trade and every other resource is through India. So therefore, while there may be extra regional players, India will remain the dominant player in the South Asian mosaic. We have seen the changes in Sri Lankan strategic landscape getting back again into favorable to India. Similarly, Maldives. So these are flip flops that will happen. India must continue to engage as enunciated by the Prime Minister in his first term when he took office, neighborhood first. I think that neighborhood first policy of the government, which the Prime Minister came up during his first term, needs to be, it needs to be the mantra for us dealing with these countries. There is no wishing away for these countries of, staying without any support or no cooperation from India. And India has to ensure that the prosperity of these countries is our interest. It is in India's interest the countries in South Asia are prosperous, have peace and stability. And that is the only way that India can also grow. There will be disruptions. We'll have major players coming in here. But if you go back to the recent statement by Trump, when he said that Bangladesh, I leave it to India. He just made a statement very recently. So therefore, they have realized that any country which is an extra regional player coming into this South Asian region will have to take India on board, beat Myanmar, beat Bangladesh, beat any other country. There may be minor hiccups, and it is important for the uh, diplomats or Indian foreign policy makers to keep this neighborhood first policy as the mantra when addressing our South Asian neighbors. I will stop here.
Yeah. Any last words by Satish on this issue?
Uh, yes, sir. In response to your question, and again to add on to what General Prasad was saying, India's
Mm-hmm.
policy of neighborhood first. Uh,
Yeah.
but what has happened is that during the present government, we have gone more for bilateral treaties and bilateral talks. And in the bargain, one of the strong organization which we already had, and that is SARC. And SARC has remained somehow a little dormant during this period. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess we also need to revive SARC and bring all the nations on board so that the stability improves in the region.
Okay, I think what I will conclude at the end, let me just first go over the questions. And for that, we'll have this mode of asking questions where all three are there on the panel. The first question is I'll not go into the comments which are going on between our viewers, on issues like if the Jesus was brown, then possibly Christian state could have come up. But some questions which are relevant to us. The first question is about It's not a question, it's a comment. I would like Prashad to give a, both of you can give your views on this. All religious missionaries are spies also, I am sure you know. Your views, first ND and then Satish.
So,
A very sweeping statement.
yes, I think it's not a sweeping statement. We have experienced the such missionaries who were working with a dual purpose of not only on the face of it appear to be bringing succor to the deprived populations, while promoting the agenda of converting them to their religion, Christianity, and then using them as probably tools for gaining information, access, and influence. So that one must be guarded. It's not that it is not without any evidence. It has been seen in the past, and
Okay.
it is important for us, those who look at security issues, to be cognizant of that and take note of it, and probably keep a benign eye on it. And if there is any such thing happening, nip it in the bud.
Okay. Satish, quick word, one liner.
So
You have been involved, you have been more deeply involved with this, so that's why I'm asking this question. I expected these
uh,
questions today on the podcast.
okay, so I mean, I
Yeah.
would say it's too much of a branding,
Mm-hmm.
missionaries as spy, but
Mm-hmm. You cannot rule
yes,
out.
you cannot rule out. Yes, you cannot rule out. And if you see, especially, I mean, again, out of my experience, that in Rohingya refugee camps, the amount of the so-called NGOs who are working and those Western NGOs, so it cannot be ruled out that in the garb of providing whatever they want to provide there, uh, all the the organizations which are there, they can always have missionaries also as part of them. So it cannot be ruled
Uh,
out, but again, it cannot be said that all of them are spies.
so this you start with this one, Satish. Uh, what do you make of this particular thing? Those supporting Netanyahu, Biden, Trump genocide have much blood on their hands and are acting like, I don't want to use that word, cannot make it worthwhile. Karma, immutable law, stop IS, US, UK, traitor to humanity. Where is it coming from and why is it coming from?
So it's honestly, I
Dominus,
mean, it's very,
Dominus vobiscum Saraswati, and there is another
Saraswati.
word which is here, Saraswati, and there is another word which is there, PM. So I don't know what he meant by PM, but this is something I think, if you want to answer, you can answer. What I'm trying to say is that there are a whole lot of flavor of views going around on this particular issue. Our audience have also started leaving, but I just thought we will record it so that there are people who are going to see this later on. So then they can make their own views and get back to us. So we will switch from this question and go to the next question. And this is important. This is a good question. This is from Akash. It's in two parts. Uh, the interim government led by administrator have opened the gates of East Pakistan to Americans. They have succeeded in the task assigned to them. Subsequent Christian induction influx is acceptable to them and par for the course. Your views. So this is something which, yeah, Andy. Anything you want to say on this? You're mute here, Andy.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
The question is interesting. Firstly, the first part. As far as
Mm-hmm.
the Bangladeshis welcoming US troops with open hands, I think that's part of the arrangement that has been arrived at with the interim
Mm-hmm.
government in place. I'll put it that way and not speak more on that. And
Mm-hmm.
the way the Bangladeshi government is engaging with not only US but
Mm-hmm.
countries other than US, be it in the European Union or in let's say other countries,
Okay.
essentially is because of the very fragile economic situation that it is actually facing now. Now,
Mm-hmm.
next year in November 2016,
Mm-hmm.
Bangladesh, if it grows even at the current rate, will transition from least developed country to the next stage. after
Okay.
which the concession that Bangladesh is getting economically will cease to exist.
Will cease to exist. That's important.
So, therefore, unless they negotiate with each of these countries or group of countries to extend the current arrangements or sign a free trade agreement, they will actually have adverse tariffs, and it will adversely affect the RMG, which is the primary source of income for Bangladesh. And therefore, when you look at the haste with which Bangladesh is actually entering into negotiations for trade, it's interesting to watch. The trade with USA, trade agreement with USA's negotiations are complete. They're going to sign anytime.
Mhm.
In the light of what is happening in Bangladesh and the US involvement, including the US involvement of the armed forces, the tariffs have been brought down from 35% to 20%, while the negotiations are still going on. That's one thing. Second thing is, EU has also extended its current concessions by 3 years to 2029. UK has extended up to 2035.
Okay.
Japan and Bangladesh are negotiating. South Korea and Bangladesh are about to sign. I think Japan is going to sign an agreement anytime. South Korea is also negotiating. Same is the case with Australia, which has got, I think, they got 50% tariff. They want to reduce to 30%. So these negotiations are happening. So the foreign policy engagements of Bangladesh must be seen in the light of this, and therefore the second part of the question, that induction of the Christians and such kind of influence will be acceptable to Bangladesh. I think Bangladesh is, by as a community, are fiercely rooted in the culture and their traditions. So therefore, any kind of the reason why East Pakistan became Bangladesh is because of that, not because of religion. And when we look at these delegations, you've been there, sir, when they come to Calcutta, irrespective of the religion, the way they actually feel at home and they connect with their relatives here. So,
Correct.
therefore, the possibility of any such kind of influence, as suggested in the second part of the question, is extremely, I would say, unlikely.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Satish, or we'll go to the next one?
I think we can go to the next one, sir.
Yeah. Basically, the problem is less residing in people to people. It's more residing at the political level between leadership to leadership. It depends on how a leadership plays its card. That makes it. In the case of Pakistan, the leadership has always invested in two nation theory and based on religion. Whereas in the case of Bangladesh, it comes and goes. It's a cyclic process. So let's see how things move ahead. That will be a thing to watch out for. Then there are some comments, etc., etc. I would not like to go, but this is just a comment. Nobody to give any views on this. It won't go Christian, thanks to the work of Swami Sri Yukteswar Giri. It won't happen unless they make extra, etc., etc. Counter to this was that Jesus was an Arab Jew. So everything is linked to it. In any case, everybody links. All the three religions are considered as Abrahamic religion. So they have all come out of each other. So that I think we should realize that. So, but technically speaking, since they have come out of each other, there should be a Borhami between them. That is not happening. That is something which I find that there is a constant tiff between the Christians and the Muslims. It's like the Hindus and the Muslims. So there has to be some major sea change in the way these religions actually start operating, that we can see some stability. Asif Bedini, now this is a question which I would like both of you to address. It's an important question. Last 5 years, India-Bangladesh relationship has transformed into a strategic partnership. It is now more mature, multifaceted, and economically integrated than ever before. Why India is now so anti-BD? So, so both of you, we start with Andy and then Satish. Yeah.
I think it's a perception that that needs to be set to rest, actually, because I'll put it this way: with the change of government in Bangladesh and the installation of
Mhm.
the interim government,
Mm-hmm.
there was a great amount of hostility that came in from the Bangladesh interim government towards India
Mm-hmm.
as a result of the influence of the BNP and the newly formed National Citizens Party and Jamaat-e Islami.
Okay.
The Islamist fundamentalists got a fillip with the coming in of the interim government.
Mm-hmm.
Indian government responded to the the tone and tenor of the Bangladesh government just to ensure that the relationship stays on keel. However, we calibrate the engagement. But within no time, within 6 months, actually, by January
Mm-hmm.
this year, the engagement started at, on a positive note. There is a, there is a, uh, there is a, as far as people of India are concerned, the fact that Bangladesh and India have a great relationship cannot be wished away, and it's known to everybody. Government to government, Indian government is actually carrying out an analysis of what among the relationship that we have in terms of economic engagement, development of infrastructure, all other facets of our engagement, which are these engagements which must be energized to ensure India regains the trust of the people of Bangladesh. People of Bangladesh are important in this. Interim government will stay for another couple of months and the next new government will come.
Yeah.
The impact of what Indian government does on the people of Bangladesh is going to decide in and influence the way the next government is going to deal with us. Therefore, I think Indian government is seized of this. Indian government is not anti-Bangladesh. We are looking at ways and means to ensure that the relationship goes back to the level that it was during the past regime, and necessary adjustments are being made, analysis being carried out, and I think there is uh, the government is arriving at areas which can be re-energized quickly. Those ideas are being identified, and I think I'm quite confident that the engagement with Bangladesh will return very soon to reasonably, good levels. And it will take some time because the change in government has brought in a great amount of angst and animosity within the people of Bangladesh as also within the government. To turn the tide, it will take time, and it will be a great amount of effort that government of India will have to put in to regain the trust.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll go to a very good question which has suddenly come in, and it is the latest situation on which we are talking about. So, what I will do is I'll flash this question and I'll put it first to Satish because Satish has just returned from there. Probably he must have heard about this particular development. So, this is the question. It is from Dr. Tarakartha. She is one of our fellow colleagues at the clause, and uh, ex National Security Council directorate. She was director there for 18 years. So she has asked, how do you see the rise of Jamaat-e-Islam given the victory in university elections recently? Satish, could you hear something about this? And what is the flavor? You mentioned that there are more presence of Pakistanis in the hotels, etc. Do you link it to that? Do you link it to ISI? What's your views on it?
Uh, uh, in fact, I was there in Dhaka when this Dhaka University Student Union results were announced, and
Okay.
Chittagong University was close by. There was
Mm-hmm.
JU, SU, CSU elections were happening. So all these student union elections were happening. So I would say it's not only a victory of Jamaat-e-Islami per se, but
Mm-hmm.
after ouster of Awami League government, it is
Mm-hmm.
these three parties, that is Jamaat-e-Islami, BNP, and the newly formed NCP, which is formed
Mm-hmm.
by those agitating
Students,
students.
yeah, students.
Yeah, yeah.
So, National Citizen Party, they call it. Yeah.
No.
So, these three together, when again I talked about the identity shift of the country, gradually I see it happening from Bengali identity to Islamic identity. So,
Okay.
it's a part of that. It's a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as elections are due in February, what one sees is that in spite of that common ground of Islamic identity, these three parties are again not together. When it comes to actual grassroots electioneering, which
Mm-hmm.
happened in the university elections, again these three parties, they had a lot of fight
Differences.
going on amongst themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
Jamaat-e Islami has always been, right since their independence, 1971, when it
Mm-hmm.
opposed that war of independence against
Yeah,
Pakistan. Yeah, so
absolutely. You're right.
since then, they have been working on it, to create this identity. So that is there. And one thing
But
about the previous question, I would say, which you had
uh-huh.
flashed. Yes, sir, you were saying
Mm-hmm.
something.
No, no, go ahead. You answer that.
That question, I mean, I thought I knew where it was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
After this interim government came, and because of
Mm-hmm.
the stance of that interim government towards India, the first thing which
Mm-hmm.
was stopped and which hurt Bangladeshi population maximum was stoppage of visa. Now,
Okay.
entire Bangladesh population is, and because of very good relationship that we had, is so
Yeah.
much, I won't call
Dependent.
it, but so much into India for everything, whether it is their
Connected, I would
normal,
say.
you know, their normal shopping, their medicals, their tourism, everything, because it works out cheaper and it is so very close to them. They don't feel that they are in a foreign country, or in a different culture. So all of them, they, in a year, maybe 3-4 trips they would do to India, and this goes across the economic strata. I've spoken with the professors, businessmen, scientists. I've also spoken with people who drive the car, taxis. So everybody, wants to come to India for everything. Small
Mm-hmm.
little thing like, green chilies, which is your everyday commodity, that's going
Mm-hmm.
from India. And the moment
Yeah.
it was stopped from Benapole border, they felt the pinch of it. So
Correct. Correct.
Bangladeshis, they are looking for how India opens up the visa for them so that they can come here. So it's actually not that India has any anti-Bangladesh sentiment. Obviously, we would like to work on having a very friendly relationship with our neighbor, as it was earlier. Yeah.
So two quick questions from Satish's comments. The first one is they were not together as far as elections were concerned of the student unions, but you will always find election nobody is together. I mean, elections are meant to be fought to win. So therefore, the result is something on which we did not deliberate upon, which means that there is a majority now looking at Islamization, which he also mentioned, that there is a general trend to moving towards a Islamic kind of orientation, which would also lead to radicalization, and thereafter it would also lead to in some kind of an ISI manipulation, and finally the spillover effects would be felt by India, whether it is West Bengal, North Bengal, or Assam, whatever it is. So your comments quickly on a follow-up question of mine on Satish's observation.
Yes, sir. I think all of us who handled CIO operations in Northeast would vouch for it that JE Jamaat Islami is a potent and latent
Yeah.
and potent force available
Both.
for exploitation by ISI. We have
Mhm.
in the past actually identified and neutralized many such modules. Of course, we had the support of the then government, and therefore any rise of Jamaat-e Islami will give ISI a greater foothold to create trouble in our India's northeast. And if you look at the trilateral that India, so Pakistan, China, and Bangladesh had in Kunming in June, it was on
Mhm.
the sidelines of some other summit. But this is the first time they have met. This is the, this is the first
Yeah,
time
go
they
ahead.
have met.
Sorry.
First time they have met. The last time they met was before Bangladesh was formed in 1962, when during the Indo-Chinese conflict, India-China conflict. So therefore, this trilateral, though it is only of significance which must be kept under. It also gives you an indication that there will be a revival of ISI activities in Bangladesh, which will be against India's interests. Speaking about the elections and the political scenario with Jamaat coming in, 56% of the population of Bangladesh have told the interim government that they should not ban Awami League. That's a huge percentage. Presently,
Mm-hmm.
the interim government has banned Awami League from contesting elections. The
Okay.
huge, almost half the country has said that you cannot have Awami League out of the elections. So, therefore, for having inclusive political, I would say, environment, there may be a movement to get Awami League into the folds. We'll have to see how that development goes. Notwithstanding, does Jamaat-e-Islami get legitimacy by participating in the elections? Yes, of course. Will it create problems for us in the Northeast in terms of increased ISI activities or increased anti-India activities? Of course, it will. We need to be guarded. Thank you.
Okay. So what we will do is now, since we are totally out of running out of time, I'll take the last question. For the other, I'll request the viewers to kindly uh, pardon us for not having taken all the questions. It's virtually not possible also. So what I'll do is the last question is of Sudhakar, and he says that it's about elections only. What he's saying is that, sir, panel's take on conduct of elections as scheduled, impact of Four Brotherhood Alliance of Rohingya on the security of India. There are two questions packed into one. Let's keep the Rohingya question out of today's discussion. We are totally out of time. I'll ask Sudhakar when he comes on the panel to answer this particular question. But on the first part, the conduct of the elections, partially you all have spoken about. One good suggestion which came was that we should try all our levers to get the PNP to somehow support Awami League to come. And I believe there are reports of PNP actually trying to have Awami League into the election fray, because that's the only way they can defeat the Jamaat-e-Islami, because Jamaat-e-Islami was already in the Jamaat-e-Islami was already in the second place in the popularity ratings. Now, probably with all these students also giving them a landslide victory, the chances are that they would be possibly at the number one spot. So, any additional thing which you want to add, Andy, you can add, and Satish,
Sir,
quickly.
the elections have not officially been announced. It's just been stated by Yunus that he's looking at elections in February. Actually, we'll
Correct.
have to see whether the elections are going to be held in February or not. He
Mhm.
may come under pressure by international organizations to conduct elections. Also,
Okay.
the US may like to see the elections being done. Where India comes into play is to assist Bangladesh in conducting, with the experience that we have of going to ballot with such large
Yeah.
numbers, of conducting
Okay.
fair and free elections. So that is what and inclusive elections. That is where India could probably help and guide Bangladesh. Otherwise, as of now, elections are scheduled, though not announced, in February next year.
Okay. So, anything you want to add on to this, Satish? Otherwise, we will go to my conclusion.
So, elections not officially announced, as General Prasad said, but the chief advisor, he did mention that before the Ramzan starts, so that is somewhere around mid-February. So it is expected that first half of February elections will happen. Second thing, Dr. Yunus's background, if you see, he may not be a politician. He doesn't have, experience of running a country since last 1 year he has been doing it. But then he has been a very good administrator. Administrator when it comes to the NGO and also the banking sector, Grameen Bank, everything. So, and the kind of advisors that he has, it is expected that there would be some kind of, a discipline within that framework of whatever election commission is forming there. So it is
Mhm.
expected that they would be able to run a decent, acceptable elections. Although BNP was not in favor of doing it so late, they wanted to be done at before December
Yeah,
this year,
before
because
December.
everybody everybody there is realizing this, that more you delay this election, more Awami League has benefit of it. Because
Absolutely.
whatever has been
Absolutely.
the past of Awami League, if at all,
With,
that
yeah.
the effect of that is going to subside, and people will be more in favor of Awami League maybe in future elections.
Okay, so we conclude our sessions by my takeaways from this particular show. And these are, I have listed it so that our audiences can see it subsequently as a takeaway from this particular discussion, whether they are studying, whether they are PhD students, wherever they are, they can watch this particular video later on. Please share it with the others. Please like this particular video. There have been very good points which came about. First is, India must have the strategic patience to get over these things, and you have found it has worked in the case of Sri Lanka, it has worked in the case of Maldives, it is now working in the case of Nepal. Let's see how things go ahead as far as Bangladesh is concerned. The second point is perseverance and faith in our policies. I think that's very important. India must believe in itself. It has almost beaten the common perception that India will not survive more than 15 years. These were comments from some very important people subsequently, like Winston Churchill, given our fault lines, etc. I think we are proving every one of them wrong. The third issue is build military strength. This is very important. Military strength along with the economic strength is very important. Balance relations with big powers. Act East has to get going. If we have to shake hands with some people who are not so liked, so be it. Unless we reach out, unless we open this corridor, I think we will not be able to grow the way we want to grow. Strategic autonomy goes without saying. I would like to add strategic autonomy with a little bit of a change in that, acting as a bridge between east and the west, north and the south. You are in both the camps. You can become that link, and you're seeing this happening in the case of Ukraine. The Ukraine's president has agreed that he will meet Putin anywhere, and India has said that if you want to do any meeting, do it in India. Putin will come to India. So I mean, that bridge thing is going on quite good. Let's see how it pans out in the future. Then we have the narrative has to be carefully crafted. Counter-Islamic rise and radicalization of Bangladesh must be watched very carefully. Our narratives must go out in a manner that it the uh, sensitizes the environment there, and finally build pressure to get Awami League into elections through the BNP route. We do have connections with BNP. There are people here and there who are sitting who can actually act as a link. They are in England. They are in various parts of the country. Both the sons are out there in the environment. I think we need to craft this game in a very very delicate manner. And I would only like to thank all of you by this last comment which Tara has given. Dr. Tara has given excellent discussion, very balanced, which is very rare today in YouTube community. Thank you, gentlemen, and wish you all the very best till we meet next time. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Jain, sir. Jain, everybody.